All right, so today we're taking a look at my custom Mezco One 12 Geralt of Rivia from the Netflix version of The Witcher. This figure, as you can see, I've got a Demogorgon in the background because I think he works well with Geralt. Um, and then this is a McFarlane Toys Sleepy Hollow base that I got online. This initially came with like a headless horseman and a horse and all that. Um, but you can find these separate because a lot of times people, lose the two pieces. And I thought it was a perfect backdrop for The Witcher. I made this, I think, either during the first season or shortly thereafter. Of course, now there are a bunch of McFarlane Witcher figures, although the heads on them are not a very good likeness to Henry Cavill. So, but yeah, this is a custom that I made. The base figure is a Thor Ragnarok Mezco 112 figure, so you can see the pants here. Um, and then the boots, I believe, were a cast from Action Figure Customs. That I think they were like Red Skull boots. That he, or similar. I don't want to get him in trouble. That he has a cast of these kind of generic old style boots. Um, and then the tunic and the shoulder armor and all that is stuff I made. Um, the head is a cast of Henry Cavill's Superman BVS Mezco figure. That was like a blank head cast that I also got from Action Figure Customs. The sword I think was from like a Lord of the Rings Toy Biz Marvel Legends figure, and then so is this head that I just put here because it seems like something Geralt would have. And then this bit that's supposed to be like the medallion on the sword that he gets in the I think the first episode of the show is just like one of the sort of medallion things from Ragnarok Thor's like cape attachment. Then the wolf sigil necklace thing is actually a cutout from the McFarlane Toys Jon Snow. He's got the Winterfell Stark armor that he wears with the two dire wolves on it. So I just cut one of them out and shaved off the back of it so it would be lower profile. And then that's jeweler's wire to make the necklace out of. The tunic, the armor and all that I made out of, those like cheap Halloween costume boots. They're like a cover that goes over your normal pants to try and shoe leg or whatever to try to make it look like you have boots on. Because it's like the cheap, $20 costume, whatever. I had one of those from a Halloween costume years ago that was just kind of sitting around. I tend to keep stuff like that because I think like, oh, I'll use this for something. And I did, and it was the perfect material to make this like faux leather armor out of. So I cut it into little strips and basically glued it onto. I believe he's got the Thor torso armor that came with the figure on underneath, and then I glued it to that. I did something similar with the shoulders. I don't remember what I used underneath, but I used maybe the thing that came with Thor because he had like a shoulder armor, at least one arm, and I may have just like cut a bigger flap of that material and then glued smaller straps to it. Or, I think I actually did that and then I just put a piece of strap underneath to hold it on. These wrist gauntlets are actually like the shin guards from the Fwoosh like samurai figures, which I can't remember the name of the line right now because I'm recording a video, and I'm sure I'll remember it as soon as I stop. So the face I painted, the eyes, I painted to be gold. Like I said, it was a blank head cast before. I find when you get a flesh colored head cast, a lot of people spray it with gray primer, and I'm like, what are you doing that for? It's already the color you need. So what I like to do is I just embellish what's already there. So rather than painting the whole thing a skin tone, I start going in with layers of like darker stuff for the shadows. It probably won't pick up too well on video, but with the naked eye you can see it. But I get in and do some of the the darker areas and under the eyes and stuff like that. So there will be little embellishments there. Let me see if this will focus a little bit. a little bit. I'm not using the greatest camera, but for the purposes of showing you guys the figure and talking about it, this is working for now. But yeah, I'll flick. I'll take a brush and I'll dip it in like a paint color that I want to use, like kind of a darker flesh tone, and I'll just flick the paint onto the face like that. And what that does is give the kind of speckling and uneven color that is a lot more indicative of people's actual skin, and it gives it a more natural look. And I'll do a similar thing in a very controlled way with like a very light kind of gray wash for the stubble areas, where the beard patterns would be on the face, to kind of give it that level of depth and detail. And I find that you get a more lifelike finish rather than kind of a chalky or milky sort of consistency that a lot of acrylic paint gives to plastic, or action figure heads when you paint them. Everybody's process is different, but that's mine, and I find that gives the best results and the most lifelike finish, especially in this tiny little scale. The hair I sculpted on with Aves Epoxy Sculpt, which is a 2-part epoxy that most customizers use. You can look it up on Amazon. It's great stuff. And then, I sculpted it and then added the little knot in the back. And then the rest of the hair is actually thread. It was either this figure or a Thor one that I made, but the thread, and I don't remember if it was this one or not. I either used white thread, just sewing thread, or I used some threads that were from like my dog's toy that, when he chews them up and tears them apart, there's all these threads laying around. So, I try to recycle when I can, and just, every little bit helps. And I'm pretty big about trying to reduce my carbon footprint, especially when my hobby consists of so much plastic. And so, that's one less thing to end up in the garbage in a landfill, etc. So I basically just separated these little threads, and then I left enough space underneath this back part of his hair to basically like tuck it up in there with glue. So that stuff's in there. And I like it because, it just gives it a more realistic look. You can move his head around and it's not going to get hung up on his shoulders. That's a problem that a lot of molded hair has with figures. On the back here, the scabbard, I believe, again, I made this a while ago, but essentially this was I believe 2 different Lord of the Rings scabbards that I combined into one and then repainted. And he's also got one of Thor's belts here that I hooked these straps to. His hand came off here. The hands are from a Gomez. I don't remember which one. It's like the first one that came in a suit. It was like a spy. I got a used one off of Mercari for a great deal that was mostly intact, and I've used that as fodder for several figures because I think Gomez is really cool, but it's not something that I collect personally. I like stuff that's more representative of like the movies and shows and stuff that I enjoy, or comic properties and whatnot. So yeah, that's my Geralt of Rivia. I've had a lot of questions about this guy, especially closer when I posted it because so many people loved that show and wanted to know what was in it. So that's the recipe. Oh, and one other thing, when I to remove those like runes that were on Thor's pants, I used some nail polish remover. So you can just get this basic stuff at Target, and it's really great for taking that kind of stuff off. So it's acetone basically, and you just rub it on with a Q-tip, and that stuff will start to peel up. There's a little bit of a ghosted image on that if you look really close, but for the most part, it's pretty invisible. So, that is my 112 style custom Geralt of Rivia. If you have any questions about it, anything that I didn't cover, feel free to drop in the comments below. As I've mentioned before, I'm a comic book writer and artist, and I've got a book coming out that is called RETROACTIVE. It's a sci-fi time travel spy thriller. Basically, think James Bond meets Groundhog Day. I've also got another book called Count, which is out now, that is a graphic novel sci-fi kind of remix of The Count of Monte Cristo. So it's a pretty cool sci-fi revenge story with sword fights and cool robots and stuff. Those are all available at my website. All the links are down below. Yeah, until next time, keep that head on swivel.